You want to learn how to be more productive. You want to learn how to be more consistent. Well, that's pretty much the entire reason why we're here. So let's just dive right into it. So I can understand that a lot of people are struggling to be productive, struggling to consistently work hard or just remain consistent in general with whatever it is. This doesn't just have to be about work. This is sports. It could be work. It could be reading, any habit or any form of something you're trying to learn. It could be pretty much anything. But I understand for a lot of people, it is very, very difficult to remain consistent. But I can tell you that the things that I've listed, the things that I've come up with, the things that I've learned can truly do help you become more productive or consistent. If you do not believe me, to be fair, I do get the vast majority of these methods from, yeah, it's pretty self explanatory. So I hope that means you can now trust the words I say, because all these points are mainly taken from the book. If this doesn't truly help you to the utmost professionalism, if you want to dive even more deeper into details, anything of the sort, then I suggest buying the book. But this is for anyone who doesn't have any money, anyone who's just interested in the video. Here's what I have to say. I have now collected about 4 lessons that most affected me, that I find the most valuable taken out of this book. Of course, I haven't read the entire book, but this is pretty much everything so far. So let's just dive right into it. First up, we have the 2-minute rule, which states when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do, which basically implies, or what I so believe, is all the 2-minute rule really is just a starting point. It's to get you to just begin at this desired habit or activity that you so just want to make happen. Now, I know it's going to be a little bit harder to understand, so again, I'm going to use this book as a resource, and this is what it sounds like. From read before bed each night becomes read 1 page. From do 30 minutes of yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. From study for class becomes open my notes. For fold the laundry becomes fold 1 pair of socks. From run 3 miles becomes tie my running shoes. All the 2-minute rule really is just getting you to start. It's the beginning connected to all the other desired habits or actions that you just so want to make happen, that you want to take. A 2-minute rule isn't actually genuinely supposed to be challenging. It's actually supposed to be the easiest part of everything. Yes, the actions taken afterwards is supposed to be a bit difficult, but not the first 2 minutes. By associating the 2-minute rule with the rest of the habits that you're trying to take, like with tying your shoelaces before a run. I mean, your shoes are already on. I mean, you're basically already dressed to take the run. So you're basically setting yourself up to commit to the action anyway. 2-minute rules literally just associating the beginning with the rest. As long as you've committed to a certain portion of the action, the first 2 minutes, you're bound to complete the rest of the task. Not always, but it increases the likelihood by like a significant amount. It's almost like a form of ritualizing the process. Once you've already committed to the first few actions, you're bound to slip into the rest. You're bound to slip into a level of deep focus or just actions, and it all becomes a natural process where your body's just committing to the action. And that's all there really is to it. But okay, I know it might sound a bit vague. I know it was a bit terribly explained, probably. So let's slow down a little bit. Let's maybe use an even better example and just take it step by step. Let's say you want to learn a new language. Now, of course, there's opening this language learning app or opening YouTube and then going to the video. So the first step would be cutting down the amount of time it takes to get to learning the action. First thing you do is cut down the time it takes to open up this application or wherever you go to learn this language. Now, of course, your original goal might be to learn an entire sentence, to learn paragraphs. But if you find that very, very difficult to commit to, well, that's where the 2-minute rule comes in handy. If you already split the time to opening this application or opening wherever the hell you're learning this new language, all it is just cutting down the amount you learn. Now, of course, that sounds a bit cheap or it sounds a bit scammy. Now, of course, your initial goal might be learn 2 paragraphs, could be learn 2 sentences. But in order to use the 2-minute rule effectively, it could be learn just 2 words. And by learning just 2 words, you're already in the application. You're already learning 2 words. There's just the rest of the information to click away. And that way you're naturally just bound to slip into learning more, naturally bound into committing more to this task, this habit, whatever it is. And that's really all there really is to the 2-minute rule. All it really is just getting to commit to the task, the first 2 minutes. If you're trying to convince yourself, if you're trying to, heck, it doesn't even matter. Personally, I found through my experience when it comes to pretty much doing anything, all it really is a matter of getting your foot through the door. It's just getting started, and it's so much easier to continue than to just get started. Next up, environmental change. Now, this is by far the most underestimated one Matter of fact, I've never even thought about it like this. Essentially, from the book, from what I've learned, is each and every area has its own designed habits, own design activities. Now, when it comes to my room, when it comes to when I'm on my laptop or on my phone, there's lots and lots and lots of functions within this one little room. Now, environmental change not only consists of spreading out those activities for different areas, but also consists of making it easy and obvious to commit to the natural activity. Now, here's an example. Like I mentioned before, in my room, I work on my laptop, I scroll on my phone, I read a book, and I go to sleep. My bed's literally right behind you. The problem with this is, it's harder to commit to these tasks like go to sleep, to continue working, to naturally cut down the amount of hours spent on my phone, or to focus on reading even, because all these different activities are shoved in my face. I sleep right there, I work right here, my phone's right here, my book's right here. Everything's just too close, and it's very, very difficult to commit to each task when all the other tasks are literally right next to you, right in front of your face. So what this law, or what this teaching tries to teach you, is not only to associate different activities in different areas. Like for me personally, when I go read my book, I have a garden set. It's just this little table, this little chair outside of my garden, and that's where I read. And for working, I usually leave my phone back in the lounge or the living room, whatever you call it. That way it's easier to focus when I'm working on my laptop. And when I am on my phone, that's for more chill time, so I do that in the lounge, by the table. And again, I think this cuts down to a more deeper meaning. And I don't know who it was, but there was this video I was watching. And essentially, in order to make committing to a task easier or to be more productive, it's isolation. When you isolate yourself with a book, if you were in a plain, boring room, if you isolated yourself with a book, eventually you get so bored you just end up reading the book. You have nothing else to do but read. And that way it's so much easier to just get started, to just read. There's no distractions. Now, of course, you can pause this video, you can take a bit of time afterwards, but it's important to think of certain areas in which you could do certain things. I know different households don't have nearly as much rooms. That's fine. I'm sure you could at least cut down on certain activities in certain areas. But all it really is just focusing on how to isolate yourself, how to get a bit alone with this activity that you need to do. Cut the Wi-Fi, cut the electricity, go outside, go to a coffee shop. There's a plethora of things that you could do. Now, a second thing this law teaches is how to make it easy and how to make it obvious. Well, how do we do it? Well, again, using our example with the book. If you want to make it very obvious and easy to begin reading, you could simply just leave it right here. First thing at night, you just leave it right on the center of your desk. As soon as you sit down, book in front of you. Maybe if it's in the way, you could leave it open on the side, and boom, page is right there. That's making it easy, and it's both making it obvious. Both are covered super simple. Alright, maybe that's too vague. Let's try another analogy. Let's say we're going to the gym. Again, the night before, you could begin already packing your gym bag, your clothes, your protein powders, whatever it is, and leaving it on your dining room table, living room table. That way, as soon as you walk into the lounge, you remembered it's time to go to gym. Now, of course, this isn't going to work every single time, but all it really is just triggering your brain to notice these kinds of things. I know a lot of the time, especially when people don't write these things down, it's very, very, very easy to slip up or just forget about it for the smallest few minutes. But if it's in front of your face, if it's right next to you, if it's right over there, you're constantly going to be reminded. You're constantly going to be bugged about it, and it's going to trigger you to already commit to this action. Thirdly, we have the law of least effort. Now, this can be very complexly explained, or it could be put in the most simple of terms, but I'm sure it's going to be much better explained in James Clear's words, so let's take a bit from the book. Imagine you're holding a garden hose that is bent in the middle. Some water can flow through, but not very much. If you want to increase the rate at which the water passes through the hose, you have two options. The first option is to crank up the valve and force the water out. The second option is to simply remove the bend from the hose and let the water flow naturally. Trying to pump up your motivation to stick with a hard habit is like trying to force water through a hose. You can do it, but it requires a lot of effort and increases the tension of your life. Meanwhile, making your habit simple and easy is like removing the bend from the hose. Rather than trying to overcome the friction of your life, you reduce it. And in different words, all that the law of least effort teaches is that humans, I believe very strongly, are always in pursuit of convenience or just ease or less friction or less struggle, less difficulty. Everyone wants it to just be easier. And all that the law of least effort really teaches is how to increase and reduce friction. Of course, it's going to be more obvious to want to reduce the friction, but what about the bad habits? What about the bad activities that you keep committing to? That's where increasing friction comes in handy. So again, let's just slow down. Let's think of another example and I'll try to walk you through it. Let's say when you go to your living room, you want to read a book. However, most commonly people end up just taking the remote and turning on the television, and that's what you're trying to prevent. Well, in order to increase friction with the bad habit, which is watching television, you could start with putting the remote somewhere else where it's least accessible. So you have to get up and go fetch it. If you want to increase it even further, you could take out the batteries of the remote. To increase it even further is to put the battery somewhere else completely from where the remote was. And if you really, really want to go extreme with this, you can literally remove your TV and put it in your cupboard. That way it's far easier to just sit down and read a book than to go get your TV, hook it up with the cables, insert the batteries, and then turn on the television. You're very, very unlikely. The only time you really would is if you desperately want to watch television. And to reduce friction when it comes to reading, not only can, again, you leave it open like we talked about previously, but you could put it right on the side of your couch, whether you have an armrest or on the coffee table. As long as it's right there, as soon as you sit down, it's within arm's length. Another example could be trying to go to bed instead of watching TikTok. Now, in order to increase friction with the bad habit of scrolling on TikTok, it could be as simple as leaving it in another room. If you want to take it an even step further, you could ask one of your family members or one of your friends to hide your phone from you when you go to bed, or at a certain time of night at least. As long as there's nothing next to you within arm's length, we could just pick up, start scrolling. And to reduce friction when it comes to sleeping, while there's nothing around you, you could fluff up your pillows, perhaps have an even more comfy blanket, whatever it takes to make you sleep more comfortably or just fall asleep even quicker. And yeah, those are just pretty much the very basics of the law of least effort. Something else I want people to understand. These points do have high levels of importance to me, and something I really want you to understand is the law of least effort also teaches you that, again, as I might have mentioned in the beginning of this little segment of the video, lots of people are searching for an easy way out. Lots of people are searching for convenience, just for an easier time. Yes, the Atomic Habits does teach how to make doing the right things easier and how to make the harder things, the most difficult things, more difficult, which I believe is a very smart way to think about it. Sometimes it is going to require just a little bit of hard work. Sometimes it is going to be just a little bit exhausting, but you have to do the work. You have to put the effort. Regardless if you make doing the activity, the desired habit that you want to do super duper easy, I bet you there are going to be some times you're just not willing to do it. You just don't want to do it. It is going to require effort. It's going to require time. And it is going to be awesome once you finally accomplish it. But enough of the doom and gloom. Let's move on to our last section. Now, one of the earliest, probably the most famous from this book is habit stacking and temptation bundling. Now, super duper simple as everything else is. You take your current habit, all right? You know what? Let's just take this even slower, shall we? What I want you to do, and this is an actionable step, perhaps after the video or right now, just take a piece of paper, and I truly do believe writing things down really helps you become more accountable, really helps you just see what, the stuff is to do. Just don't keep this all in your head, please. Take that piece of paper, take your pen, and just start writing. Write about all the habits that you're currently doing, that you're currently committing to. It could be something simple, right? It could be waking up. It could be going to shower. It could be putting the towel around your waist. Everything that you just do on a normal day-to-day basis. Just write down all the habits that you do without fail every single day. Now with that, that's how you're going to use this formula. Now, after current habit, and that could be, let's take this even slower and use an example. After I wake up, I will, and then habit I need, right? Let's say I need to do 10 push-ups each day. If you really want to get it just right out of the way, and it's called the concept of swallowing the frog, if I'm not mistaken. And that is also essentially where, sorry about the side tangent, but it's also essentially where you get the hardest, most difficult activity done at the very beginning. You just get it right out of the way. And then the day is pretty much just a breeze after that. But you want to do 10 push-ups. After I wake up, I will do 10 push-ups. And that's all it is. And by writing it down, you make yourself even more accountable. And you're not just keeping this in your head. What I do personally to take this even a step even further is I take that piece of paper and I pretty much just use press stick and stick it right up against my wall. So every time, as soon as I wake up, as soon as I hop out of the bed, it's right in front of my face. And when we add the formula of temptation bundling, and to essentially explain what temptation bundling is pretty much associating the things you need to do with the things you want to do. So let's say, again, there's the 10 push-ups. You need to do 10 push-ups every single day. You just want to be healthy. You want to look good eventually. There's the 10 push-ups. Now, something that you might want to do. Now, of course, that involves something that you do need to do, the hard work, involving something you want to do. Of course, it can't be too bad. But again, we're just finding our way around this. After I do 10 push-ups, I will stretch. I will shower. It could be pretty much anything. Of course, you can't be too lenient with yourself. Of course, the habit that you might want to do, or the activity that you might want to do, it can't be just eat a bunch of junk food. Don't destroy the progress that you just made. But put simply, you know what, let's just take this one step further. Take your pen again, and you're going to write down, it was the first list, you're going to write down all the habits that you do without fail. You're going to write down all the habits that you need if you're unhealthy, or if you're super unfit, or if you're super weak. That would be going for a run, going to the gym, doing 10 push-ups, 100 push-ups, 50 push-ups, whatever it is, and you're going to write down all the habits that you want. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, that's probably a positive one. Let's say you want to read. After I look at your list, wake up, I will do 10 push-ups. After I do 10 push-ups, I will open up my book. Simple as that. You take the list of your current habits, the habits that you need, the habits that you want, and you combine them. And by writing that entire formula down, by filling in the spaces, you make yourself accountable. It's right in front of your face. Stick it up against your wall. Put it on your desk. Put it where you can see it so that you know what you need to do, what you want to do. It's very, very difficult to not do something when it's right in front of your face. If TikTok was open, eventually you're just going to scroll TikTok. If your book was open, eventually you're either going to close the book or you're going to read the book. And yeah, that's just habit stacking. And that's temptation bundling. And again, briefly explained, is all it is taking something that you already do, combining it with something that you need and something that you want. And by doing this, let's say the habit that you already have, the habit that you need to do, as long as you make it quick, as long as you make it accessible, as long as you make it easier, another implementation of the 2-minute rule. Let's say just instead of 2 minutes, it could be just 2 sets, 2 push-ups. As soon as you wake up, 2 push-ups. You just do that every single day, every single morning. It becomes easier and easier and easier to commit to. Eventually, just doing 2 push-ups becomes associated with waking up. So as soon as you wake up, you're thinking 2 push-ups, 2 push-ups, 2 push-ups. And by associating something that you need to do with something that you want to do, eventually you look forward to doing the things that you need to do. I need to do 2 push-ups. I want to stretch. I need to do 2 push-ups. I want to read a book. I need to do 2 push-ups. I want to have a nice, delicious breakfast. Eventually, it's basically just the concept of eventually you look forward to doing the stuff that you need to do because it's associated with the stuff that you want to do. So eventually you might even look forward to these 10 push-ups, these 2 push-ups, because then you're going to go read a book afterwards. Then you're going to do some stretches. Then you're going to go shower. Then you're going to go read your book. And in summary of pretty much this entire, I don't know, short, long video, whatever it is, I'm very, very sorry if this is difficult to explain. It's redesigning your environment. It's making it quick and easy to begin. It's increasing the friction of the bad habits and decreasing the friction of the good habits, and taking what you already do with what you need to do and with what you want to do. And to me, these are very, very important lessons, very, very good lessons. And as hard as I've tried in this video, if you really want to take it a step further, if you want to learn the psychology behind how human thought works, about how all this works, and even more concepts beyond what I just explained to you, then yes, I really do believe reading this book can help you a crap ton. It's really helped me design my morning routine, how I run my day-to-day, honestly. For better improvement of productivity, of consistency, if you really don't feel like this supplied too much value, I suggest just buy the book. But I hope you had taken something away from this, that you had learned something. You could rewatch the video if you didn't understand something. You could write in the comment section if you want me to even better explain it to you. I'm pretty sure I'll respond almost immediately. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely day. But seriously, I really do hope that you took away a lesson from this. And I'm not trying to bullshit you. This really has helped me become more productive, more consistent. Maybe I didn't explain it well. I don't know what I did wrong. But please just let me know in the comment section so I can help improve the videos, improve the quality of the videos, and improve how I teach people, how I talk to people. But as always, I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, wherever you are in the world. And most important lesson of them all, don't compare, compete.